So if others heard a scream, you wouldn't, that wasn't you?
No, I froze. When he slid between my skis, I absolutely froze. And I don't remember yelling or screaming until I was very angry at what had happened.
Okay. And so you guys are on the ground, and then you said to him, I think you don't know if you were up or if you were still on the ground, but he was still on the ground, right?
Yes.
When you said, "What are you doing?"
Yes.
Okay. Like, why did you do that?
Yes.
And he said, "I think you skied into me."
Yes.
And that's when you were furious and said, "You skied directly into my effing back," at the
Sorry.
top of your lungs.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I apologize for my bad language.
And well, in fact, you were screaming that so hard, you were worried that Moses was hearing you.
Yes.
Okay. And after you were screaming to him, isn't that when Mr. Sanderson said, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry"?
He said, I said, you skied directly into my effing back. And he said, oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
Right. And that was you screaming at him while he's on the ground still, right?
I was yelling at him.
Pretty loud, pretty forceful,
I was pretty upset.
right? You're
Yeah.
small but mighty. Actually, you're not that small. So when he said, "I'm sorry, would you agree that he kind of mumbled it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then you remember Eric came over, Eric Christensen,
Yes.
who was Moses's instructor.
Correct.
Okay. And that was when you were concerned that, oh gosh, Moses is close by. He's hearing me yell obscenities at this man.
Which is not my custom.
Right. And I think you said that. And at some point, the man stood up and we were all sort of talking.
Yes.
What conversation did you have with Mr. Sanderson standing up?
I wasn't having a conversation with him. Eric was helping him up and asking if he was okay.
Okay. Eric eventually yanked him up, right? He pulled him up.
He helped him up.
Okay. He didn't get up on his own accord.
He helped him.
And were you still standing right there when he helped him?
I believe I was, yes.
You sure you hadn't skied down a little bit?
I might have skied down a little bit. My son was down a little bit, and my now husband came over at some point.
Okay.
So I remember moving away from Mr. Sanderson after he collided into me and we hit the ground.
Okay. And do you remember, we heard from Craig Ramone, he was the first individual who testified. Do you remember him coming to the scene?
I do not.
You don't remember him at all?
No,
You don't remember him being there or asking you, "Are you okay?"
I do not.
Okay. You don't remember him asking Terry if he was okay?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right. And then I think what you've said is Eric told you, "I'm going to handle this." And that's what I think you've said people do. They handle things for you.
I don't believe I said that.
You've never said that?
I believe what I said was in the acting world, that's a world of representatives. So you have an agent who represents you. And so if they say, you know, I'm going to provide information, you allow somebody to represent you. So when Eric, as an accredited Deer Valley ski instructor, said to me, I'll fill out the paperwork, he knew also that my daughter was at the bottom waiting for me to come for lunch or at the lunch place.
Okay. And so Mr. Christensen handled it for you?
Mr. Christensen stayed and filled out the report, made sure Mr. Sanderson was okay, and said to me, you can go ahead.
Okay. How do you know that if you weren't there?
Because he told me.
Okay. That's what he told you,
Yes.
but you weren't there to see it.
He told you you can leave. He wasn't there. I objected for him. I don't understand the question.
Sustained. Go ahead with your questions.
You weren't there when the paperwork or the exchange of information was given, fair?
Fair.
All right. And would you agree that Mr. Christensen did not see the incident, didn't see the collision?
Correct.
Okay.
He just saw us right afterwards.
Right. And in fact, nobody from Deer Valley saw the collision.
Correct.
Your kids didn't see the collision.
That's right.
Okay. The only person that, and you may not be aware of this, the only person who says that they saw the collision was Mr. Ramon.
Yes.
The way you answer that makes me think that you don't believe that he saw it.
I did not believe his testimony.
Do you believe that he saw the collision?
No. I don't believe that he saw what he thinks he saw.
Ms. Paltrow, why would he lie?
This is a man.
Goes to motive, Your Honor. But perhaps that's not the right objection under the rules, so let me be quiet and withdraw my objection.
Can you answer it?
He said he was at 40 feet away and colorblind. I don't know how he can be positive about what he saw, especially with how much he changed his story.
Well, what does colorblind have to do with anything? My husband's colorblind. We tease him all the time that he can't tell red or green. But what does that have to do with not seeing who hit who?
Well, if you have two people in ski gear with helmets on and you're 40 plus feet away, I'm not sure how you can discern who is who.
Okay, well,
And I can tell you that he didn't, because Mr. Sanderson categorically hit me on that ski slope, and that is the truth.
and I'm sure that that's what you believe. I'm not saying that.
Because it's the truth.
I'm not saying that.
Let's get a question.
So you and Mr. Sanderson, if you're almost 5'10", Terry's 5'5", pushing it.
Your Honor, that's facts not in evidence.
Counsel, you'll have an opportunity to redirect, or to direct examine, so go ahead.
If
Counsel.
you two stood next to each other, do you think that somebody would confuse the two of you?
I don't know. I'm telling you what happened.
Okay. All right. So you're screaming at Terry, worried that Moses hears you. You admit that you were shaken up,
Yes.
okay? You don't recall Mr. Ramon being there
I do not.
or asking you if you were okay?
I do not.
Did anybody ask you if you were okay?
I remember Eric Christensen asking me if I was okay, and Brad, my now husband, asking me if I was okay.
Okay, and when you talked to Brad, he was down further, right? Down with
Yes.
Moses. So none of that took place where my client was,
He came over to me after the fall.
okay? And I just want to make sure you don't have any kind of medical training,
No.
okay? You don't know what injuries Mr. Sanderson did or did not sustain in the accident?
I do not.
Okay. Are you aware now that you've sat here the last 3 days that he did sustain 4 broken ribs?
Yes.
Okay. Aware that he sustained a concussion?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that he had to be taken down on a toboggan?
So we should be clear, like, does she know as a result of this testimony, or does she know personally?
Would you clarify your question?
Yeah, sure. How did you learn that he broke 4 ribs?
Through all of this.
Okay, and to make it clear, I don't want to find out anything that your lawyers told you. That's attorney-client privilege. We can't. So anytime I'm asking you, I don't want you to tell me what your lawyers have told you.
Okay.
Through the court proceedings, is that fair?
That's fair.
All right. You learned that Mr. Sanderson broke 4 ribs,
Yes.
okay, and that he sustained a concussion,
Correct.
okay, that he was taken down on toboggan.
Yes.
Did you learn of that day?
No.
Did you inquire?
What is your name again? Sorry. Kristen?
Yes.
Sorry, I was going to say Kristen.
It's all right.
I think you have to keep in mind when you're the victim of a crash, right? Your psychology is not necessarily thinking about the person who perpetrated it.
So the answer to my question is no, you did not inquire.
I did not.
Okay. Did you ever ask, hey, how was that guy that ran into the back of me? Is he okay? Did you ever ask anybody from Deer Valley about that?
I did not, because at the time I did not know that he had sustained injuries like that. I thought it was very minor on the day.
And you didn't stick around long enough to find that out.
I stuck around long enough for him to say he was okay to stand up, that he told Mr. Christensen he was okay.